You're kicking back, relaxing on your couch, watching TV, when suddenly you hear knocking at your front door. You figure it's your buddy from down the street, so you walk right up, open the door, and right in front of you are two plainclothes detectives staring at you. They smile, and they're even polite, but then one of them decides to ask you the 7 most dangerous words in the English language. We just want to talk to you. Now here's what happens next. If you do what 99% of people do, you are going to hand to the police everything they need to point a finger at you and maybe even ruin your life. And you're going to do it with a smile on your face thinking you're being a good citizen. But I'm not going to let that happen. I'm Jeff Hampton, the People's Lawyer, and in this video, I'm going to give you the specific words to say, the exact phrase that shuts cops down, that protects your rights, and gets them off your front porch. And I'll show you why these words work and the real cases that ruined people's lives because they didn't know what I'm about to tell you. Here's what most people don't understand. When a cop says, "I just want to talk."
All right, guys. Welcome to today's video. Everything starts with a simple knock at the door. But the moment 2 detectives appear and say, "We just want to talk," the danger begins. What sounds friendly is actually the opening move in a serious police strategy. This section sets the trap perfectly, showing how an ordinary evening can turn into a life-changing moment before the person at the door even realizes what is happening.
Want to talk? That's actually not a casual conversation. It is an interrogation technique they have been trained to use. It's designed to do one thing, to make you feel that you're not a suspect and maybe you're just a witness. Because the moment you believe you're not a suspect, you drop your guard. And that's when you start talking. And once you start talking, you can't take those words back, ever. Think about it. 2 detectives don't show up at your front door because they're bored. They're there because they're building a case. And they're at your front door because they think you might have had something to do with it. And even if they claim they're only there looking for witnesses, witnesses can quickly turn into suspects just by you deciding to open your mouth. Never forget, you opening your mouth only allows the police to gather enough information to frame an opinion that you had something to do with it. The reality of it is, the cops either have enough evidence to get a search warrant or an arrest warrant, or they don't have any evidence at all. And that's exactly why they need you to talk, because your words are the missing piece. But here's the part that should make you angry. Police officers are legally allowed to lie to you. The Supreme Court said so back in Frazier versus...
From here, the situation sharpens. The speaker explains that this is not casual conversation, but a calculated tactic designed to lower someone's guard and get them talking. As the pressure builds, the bigger shock lands. Police are legally allowed to lie during questioning. That changes everything. What seems like a harmless doorstep chat is exposed as a method to fill gaps in a case using the suspect's own words.
In Frazier versus Cup, they can tell you they have certain evidence that doesn't exist. They can tell you that your friend confessed, and that if you don't give your side of the story, they'll have no other choice but to blame you. None of this has to be true, but they'll lie to you and do it with a straight face. So when that detective shows up on your front porch and just says, "We just want to talk," what he's really saying is, "I don't have enough evidence to legally do something with you, but I want you to start talking to give me the missing pieces I need." That's the game, and he's counting on you to not know the rules. But here's where it gets truly terrifying, because you don't have to be guilty for this to totally ruin your life. The Innocence Project has documented that nearly 30% of all wrongful convictions came from false confessions. 29%. And do you know how most of those confessions started? Not in an interrogation room, not in bright lights and handcuffs. They almost all started with, "Hey man, we just want to talk." Maybe you answer a few questions. Maybe you think you're
At this point, the warning becomes far more serious. The commentary shifts from tactics to consequences, revealing how false confessions and twisted statements have destroyed innocent lives. A pause, a nervous answer, or a small inconsistency can suddenly be treated as guilt. The most chilling part is that none of this requires an arrest at first, meaning every word spoken on that porch can quietly become evidence.
Maybe you think you're helping. You think if you lay out the fact you weren't involved in this, that the cops will just leave you alone. But that is not what happens. What happens is that your words get twisted. They get taken out of context. A nervous pause becomes evidence of deception. An inconsistency in your memory because you're panicking now becomes evidence of your guilt. And before you know it, the same detective who said he just wanted to talk is now reading you your Miranda rights and putting on handcuffs. And here's the thing about Miranda rights that almost nobody understands. The police only have to read you your rights when you are in custody. So that friendly chat on your front porch, you're not in custody. That means cops, they don't have to read you your Miranda rights, which means every single word you say can be used against you. This is not an accident, it's all by design, which is precisely why I'm about to give you the exact words to say. And once you hear them, you'll realize how simple it really is. But first, let me make sure you understand why what I'm about to tell you is so powerful. You know you have a constitutional right not to talk to the police. It's the Fifth Amendment. You've heard it 1,000 times. You have the right to remain silent. But here's where people get it wrong. They think that right only kicks in after they've been arrested. Wrong. The Fifth Amendment protects you at all times. On your porch, on your driveway, at your job, walking down the street. You never have an obligation to answer a police officer's questions. Ever. Under any circumstances. Period. But just like the I smell alcohol video I did recently, you choosing to be silent alone isn't enough. If you slam the door in the cop's face...
Now the video moves into the most practical and powerful moment. The exact phrase someone should use when police start asking questions. Instead of panicking or arguing, the response is calm, direct, and legally protective. This section matters because it breaks down why each word works, how it invokes constitutional rights, and how one sentence can stop a conversation from turning into a case against you.
In the cop's face, or if you're rude, or if you're hostile, this is what he's going to put down in his report. Suspect was uncooperative and evasive. All behavior, in my training and experience, that indicates a sign of guilt. And if your case were ever to go to trial, a jury would hear that they think you had something to hide. Instead, you need to be firm and polite at the same time. And you need to use these exact words, so memorize them. I don't answer questions without my attorney present. Am I being detained or am I free to go? That's it. That's all you ever have to say. Now, let me break down why every piece of this works. I don't answer questions. That's your Fifth Amendment right. You're invoking it clearly and unambiguously. All courts have ruled that you must clearly invoke your right to remain silent, otherwise your silence could actually be used against you. I don't answer questions without my attorney present. This invokes your Sixth Amendment right to counsel. Once you've asked for an attorney, all state and federal courts have said questioning must stop. Period. And if they keep asking you questions after you've asked for a lawyer, everything they try to obtain would be thrown out in court. I don't answer questions without my attorney present. Am I being detained or am I free to go? This is the golden question because it forces that detective to make a choice. You're either free to leave, which means you can slam the door in his face, or they're detaining you, in which case they're going to have to articulate why and say and come up with something to justify that detention. And here's the part most people forget in this situation. If they're at your front door running a knock and talk, they can't just come in to search your house unless you give them consent or they have a valid warrant. That's the Fourth Amendment. They can sit there and knock on your door as much as they want, known as a knock and talk. And quite frankly, you don't have any responsibility to ever answer that door. But not only do you not have to open the door, you have zero obligation to answer any of their questions. And certainly zero obligation to ever let them in. You can close the door, you can tell them to leave, or you can just say nothing at all. There's no reason to ever open your door. But wait a minute, Jeff, what if they push back here? And I say that because you can guarantee they will. They'll say things like, if you got nothing to hide, why don't you just talk to us? Or, you know, this will only go easy for you if you choose to cooperate. If they say this, here's your backup line. I'm exercising my constitutional rights. That's not evidence of anything. Why are those words so effective? Because the Supreme Court has clearly said your choice to invoke your rights can never be used as evidence of guilt. I don't care how frustrated the detectives get. I don't care how many times they look at you and say, this is your only chance to tell your side. Your side always gets told by a lawyer where your words can't be twisted by the cops. Oh, and if they actually do have a warrant, they don't need to ask to come inside. They can force their way inside. However, if they do say they have a warrant, they have a responsibility to show it to you. And if that warrant is legit, you still don't answer questions. They may be allowed to go inside and search, but you can invoke your right to remain silent and not answer any questions until the lawyer is present. Now, here's why those words matter so much to you. Because the skills I just shared with you, understanding the trap, Knowing your rights and the exact words to use are the same framework you would want to use during any police encounter. But what if instead of cops showing up at your front door, they pull you over for a traffic stop, walk up to you and say, "Step out of the car"? Check out this next video where I break down if cops demand you step out of the car, say these words to shut them down. See you over there.
In the final stretch, the focus turns to what happens when officers push back. They may pressure, guilt trip, or suggest that only guilty people stay silent. But the message stays clear. Invoking your rights is not evidence of guilt. The video closes by reinforcing that even if police have a warrant, silence still matters. It ends by extending the lesson beyond the front door and into any police encounter. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video.